so we're gonna open the meeting. As always, we're being broadcast live and digitally recorded, so anything that you say or do will be memorialized.
What's up, guys?
So please know that. And as always, we're gonna start with open session. Is anyone here for open session? Hi, Bella, come on up.
All right, thank you. I'll stand over here so people don't break their necks looking at me. My name is Laura Foley, and I've been a Hubbardston resident since 2005. And I walk my dog a lot, and in so doing, I notice that there always seem to be, hiya Tom, always seem to be a lot of trash, litter on the side of the road. And I come to find out that it used to be a Hubbardston tradition to get together on Earth Day, which is April 22nd, I believe, 21st or 22nd, get together and clean up the roadsides. Well, after a few years of that, that event stopped happening. But last year, a group of concerned Hubbardston citizens and I reconvened that, and we had an Earth Day cleanup last year. And we got it together pretty late in the game. We started organizing it in March for an April event, but we had so much support that we were able to collect 1.8 tons of garbage in 4 hours, which is pretty big.
Yep.
Pretty amazing. I would like to do it again this year on April 20th, which is the Saturday right before Earth Day. It's going to be at the rec field, and it will be the week before baseball starts, so that's the sweet spot of when we can do it. This year, it's also going to include an electronic and appliance waste component, which is going to be a fundraiser for the Scouts BSA, which is what Boy Scouts are called now. And there's going to be a bottle and can drive to support the Girl Scouts, as well as the garbage collection. So far, we have 2 donors and 2 cash donors and 1 donor of a big dumpster, which is a big expense saved for us.
Who's doing that?
That is Pleasant Valley Trash Haulers. He did it last year.
Nice.
So this year, the reason I'm here, a couple of things. One, to tell you that it exists, that it's happening. I can give you these flyers. This is the only stuff that we have locked in. This is the Boy Scout the Boy Scout Electronics fundraiser. The question that I had for the board, and I don't know if this is the right group to address this or if this is the right time, but we have a sponsor sheet that I've made up, and I'll hand those around too. It's a draft as indicated by the giant word draft going across it. The thing that I'd like to do this year is to have Blaze Orange t-shirts printed up so that people are more visible while they're collecting the garbage. And I would also like to get some promotional items like stickers and buttons and things like that, which of course costs money. The problem is that we are not a town entity, so we don't have access to revolving funds. We're not an official town body. So I don't know how to collect money, because if I say make your checks out to Laura Foley, that looks really shady, and that's not very transparent. So my question to you is there a way that I can collect money for this event specifically and have it earmarked for it without it going directly to me?
Maybe. So we have a bunch of revolving funds. A lot of them are wiring and things like that that wouldn't apply. But we have this, somewhat recently renamed one called the Hubbardston Events.
Special events.
Hubbardston Special Events. This is which Katie heads. This might be a special event that we could talk to her about. Maybe going through that. What do you think?
Sure, that would work. Or any other board that owns a revolving fund that wants to adopt this as part of theirs would be able to use their revolving fund.
Such as
The Board of Health one might be a good
Board of
one.
Health, Parks, I'd want to speak to each one of those boards,
Sure.
but if they were to say sponsor the event, then I'll check with accounting to make sure, but we could use that revolving account for that type of expenditure.
Okay.
It'd be a lot cleaner than coming up with another revolving
Agreed.
account.
Now, don't they have to be approved by vote at town meeting?
The revolving fund is approved.
So the way that you divide it is up to the town?
Each fund has a certain amount that is approved by town meeting annually.
Mhm.
So it's already in place.
Okay, excellent.
And it's not a budget for the revolving fund, it was approved at town meeting as the cap of how much can be in the revolving fund, and none of them are even close to the caps, so you got plenty of room to put money in and take money out.
Okay.
Excellent.
So what's the next step?
So, I can reach out to some boards if you want.
Yes,
If you
please.
send me an email stating what it is you want to be adopted to do,
All right.
See if there's any interest, and we could start there, would probably be the easiest way.
Okay, very good. Yeah, we're not looking for the moon and the stars, we're looking for about $1,000 should get us going this year.
Cool.
So,
Well, thanks for doing this. This is
Thanks.
great.
very welcome,
Yeah, I
happy
know
to
it was
help.
well received last year.
Yeah, and if anybody in this room is interested, we're having another organizational meeting on the 20th, which is a Wednesday, right next door from 7 to 8 p.m.
Okay.
And
Senior center.
at the senior center. Yes,
What's
ma'am.
the date of the event?
The date of the event is April 20th. That is Saturday. It will be held 8 to noon, and because the next day is Easter, that will be rain or shine, because we won't want to schedule it to conflict with Easter.
Okay.
What's the date of the event next Wednesday? Well,
The,
over here, I mean,
The
over
meeting will be on February 20th, which is
Okay.
2 weeks.
2:20, at what time? 6 to 7?
7 to 8.
7 to 8, yeah. Okay, thank you.
And
And-
you have a very nice reporter over there, who maybe can help you get the word out.
Why, isn't that splendid?
Chance.
Let's see, are there any extras of these
Go
that
take
come
it.
around?
So take that one too.
Once these are in final form, we can put these on our social
Yes.
media.
Please don't
Mhm.
publish
Yes.
this yet, because we don't have a vehicle to collect money yet.
Okay, yeah, I'll just grab your, like, a phone number off you after.
Oh, it's right at the bottom.
Oh, perfect. Sweet.
So I don't know if you heard that, but we'll put this, once it's in final form, when you tell us it's final form, on the social media website and all that sort of stuff, so.
So is this a good time to ask if anyone has any questions
Sure,
for me? Does anyone have any questions for me?
I do.
Yes.
How was traffic last year?
You mean how many people participated?
No, I mean, like, was it disruptive over at the rec field?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I've been a scout leader for many years, and we often do an electronics recycling fundraiser, and we always are off to the side, and people come in on one end where the skate park is, go straight through, and then go out where the sign is. So it's one-way traffic, and it is not disruptive because there are 2 lanes, so if someone's parked, another person can go around. And we hold it before the big opening day for Little League, so that we're not competing with parking spaces for parents and fans, and there aren't a whole bunch of little kids running around.
Good plan.
Thanks. Yeah, and last year, we had about 50 people signed in who
Awesome.
participated.
Okay.
Question.
Yes, sir.
How does it work, the trash pickup? People pick up along the side of the road and bring bags of stuff to their dumpster?
There will be a single dumpster at the rec field, so that everyone as a community can come in, and not only is it more convenient for people that they don't have to store this gross garbage that they picked up, but they get the visuals of seeing how much is stacked up that we've all helped to get rid of.
So it's people cleaning essentially their own street probably?
Their own streets, trails.
Neighborhood thing, picking up stuff.
Yeah.
And then driving it up to the
Absolutely.
the rec center.
Yep, and
Okay.
we are going to also encourage, I'm going to contact Mr. Clapham, the tree services man, to get some free saplings, because those were well received last year. Last year, we also had a gift basket that was raffled off for donors who wanted to donate goods or services. So we're probably going to do that again this year. But it'll be home base will be at the rec field, so people can either bring their own garbage bags there, they can get a garbage bag from us, and if we manage to get the t-shirts printed up, then they'll be able to pre-order their right size, so that they can pick up their shirts and their bags, and then suit up so that they're highly visible.
Nice.
Is it true, and I don't know if it's a rumor, someone said last year that the biggest source of trash that was brought in was empty bottles of alcohol?
I don't know.
No,
We did
somebody-
not, we did not do that.
So it was something, nips, it was like
I
nips,
say
and somebody said that last
anecdotally,
year.
I'm seeing a lot of empty alcohol
I think
containers.
it'll be right up there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nip bottles, cans, but that would be more that the Girl Scouts would be able to figure out, because they're doing the bottle and can drive, and they did the same thing last year.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks
All
for
right.
You're
doing this.
welcome. Oh, thank you very much. If you have any further questions, these sheets that went around have my contact information on the bottom, so you can get my contact information right there.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
Laura?
Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else here for open session? That is a no, so we'll start off, Laurie, wanna let us know a couple announcements here?
Yep, so announcements coming up, the Hubbardston Scholarship Committee is holding their annual Valentine's Day roast beef dinner. It is going to be February 16th from 5 to 8, so if you pre-purchase your tickets, it's a little bit cheaper, but you can buy them at the door. I can find out the price it's cause it's not listed on here. Then they are having what is this? The School Coalition on Thursday, February 7th. It's anybody who wants to head down to Boston to discuss funding for rural schools. There is something on the website. If it's not on there, I think I did put it on there, but it will be on there. We do have information, like I said, showing, so you can discuss that. Also, it's not on the list, but frozen assets, the shed is there.
Okay.
So if anybody has driven by Williamsville Road, they'll see it out there. Mama Bean Studio, she's the one that ended up making it. Came out, I think, great. So if you put your guesses in, you can go anytime.
All right. Hey, the Country Hen Scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anything about the Country Hen Scholarship?
I remember it being a thing when I first was hired.
Right. Okay. So, can.
Well, I'll look into it.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm gonna write it down too.
Just kidding.
Okay. Thank you. All right. New business right off the bat here. Streeter Road layout discussion. So, I guess Ryan, you want to set the table?
So we were approached by residents of Streeter Road as a follow-up to last year's town meeting where this was a warrant article discussion. They have invested money into coming up with a road layout plan, and they would like to present it to you tonight. Councils have not really been involved except for the process of how this is to be presented to you. So I did submit a process we got from town council last year and how this works. Forgive me if you already know this, but the layout plan is to be presented to the board. If the board decides that its intention is to lay out the road, then it's referred to the planning board. The planning board then reviews it for it to meet any conditions of our bylaws, zoning bylaws, etc. If with a favorable recommendation, it would then come back to this board for potential placement on the warrant for town meeting. And that can come either from the board's recommendation to be put on the warrant, or the residents can petition if they don't like, or if they disagree, or if there's some other reason why they would want to put it on themselves.
Okay. So, excuse me. So basically, we're going through the process we went through last year, formally.
Yes. It's important. So the whole process, so everybody understands, is that there's a vote here, it's sent to the planning board then acts within 45 days. If they don't act within 45 days, it comes back to this board anyway with a favorable recommendation. Then there would be a public hearing about the layout plan, and then it can go to town meeting. The part that was skipped last year was that public hearing and the vote from this board to officially declare its intention to lay out the road, which is why the petition was invalidated at town meeting last year.
Okay. So our vote tonight will be to accept the layout that's presented to us.
You'd be voting to
Further the process.
submit your intention to lay out the road, which starts the process.
Okay.
So there is another chance for the board to not lay out the road based off recommendations from the planning board, or the public hearing, etc.
Sounds good. All right. Hi, Deb.
Hi.
You want to go through it with us?
Sure.
Okay.
You want to just look at a physical
Yeah.
copy?
Yeah. That's it. So you came to open session last time.
Yep.
Is this what you had in your possession last time too, or is this a new version?
This is a newer version.
Okay. So
What changes, if any, have been made?
So the one change that was made was by the section of the pond, because originally
The width of it, I
the
was reading
width
about
was
it.
drawn like
All
right into the pond, which
Mhm.
seemed kind of, I don't know, not a good idea, because it's in the middle of the water. So they just narrowed that. That's basically all they did was narrow it down. So there's actually a road there instead of a make-believe section of road.
so just so we're all clear here. So what this is it is your, I'm gonna use your as, I don't mean specifically just
Yeah.
you, but your new proposed road layout for Streeter Road. Is that as simple, dumbed down, that's what it is? Right?
Yeah.
As far as Zoc Surveyor, what sort of research did they do into you know, the layout, and I don't know if you know everything about it, but just generally, if you could let us know what you know about what they did relative to that.
They were given, every single deed, of the property along the road, including Lovewell Pond's property.
And that was just deed search?
Yep.
From you, or
We
for you
gave
guys?
them all,
Yeah.
everyone on the road gave them our deeds, and then, there was other research that was done in addition to those deeds, by, actually one of the, people on the road, and then Zoc did some of his own work, and of course, they physically came out and matched up.
Did they, so I haven't been out there in a while, did they actually flag it and stake it and all that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we are sheet 3 of 3 here, right? So
Yep.
there are actually a couple other sheets.
On this particular plan, this is for my own, where exactly are the Bagley's property?
They are,
Did we
on the corner of Grimes Road,
Mm-hmm.
and Streeter Road.
Because we recently just got a letter from her, you know, basically still objecting to this. and-
She's present. If you want. She's
Pardon?
present here.
Oh,
Want her
sorry.
Up here.
Okay, so I just wanted to know, you know, have you taken this into account, et
I did not get that letter, so
cetera?
I'm not familiar with the letter, thank you.
Well, in a nutshell, she's giving us notice that neither she or her husband will be giving the right in the way to the town of Hubbardston, which includes half of the way for 400 feet or any of our adjacent land, to make this private way public, and no one has our permission to file a plan at the Registry of Deeds, which includes our property.
Okay.
So, what is this doing to us moving forward with this or not moving forward?
Well, she has no right to block anybody from driving down the road.
The plan doesn't include her property.
Pardon me?
The plan does not include her property.
Yeah,
She's in a butter, but she doesn't own property that's being affected.
Gotcha.
Can I say something?
Yeah,
I wrote that letter because our concerns have not been addressed. We were never notified of the planning board or any intention by the town to take up private property or the road. I find it very unprofessional. I haven't been allowed to look at the plan, to review it. I don't know if the layout is correct. Have the other abutters and owners of the road looked at the plan to see, done any title searches to see if the layout is correct?
So I can answer this. So this is the initial part. So this is a road being brought to the board for the intention to lay it out. So
Sure.
the other I don't want to use legal terms and get myself in trouble, but other discoveries or things that would come after this process would be identified by the planning board or after our council reviews it, if that's the board's intention. I didn't send it to council before this because the board hadn't declared its intention yet, and I didn't want to spend money on a hypothetical. So this is simply just saying that the town is going to lay this out. By process, it goes to the planning board, which is a public meeting, and then at least 7 days prior to a public meeting where this is voted, the board would notify all abutters to come and comment on it before that final vote that's taken. So this is the beginning of it. Even though we knew it ahead of time, we did invite Sharon, because she had previously expressed concern with this project, telling her that this discussion was gonna happen. But, not to be coy, but without Streeter Road coming here and bringing this layout plan, we can't assume that they were going to, so we tried to do everything we could to make it as open as possible.
well, I mean,
Right, and to address this letter is just, we're not at that process.
Right.
The third step in the process is when everybody gets notified and then they have the opportunity
that's what I was
to
gonna say, I
come.
mean,
This is simply preliminary. No
Correct.
one's needed to
which
be
I see no
identified.
reason to squash this at the, at this point.
Why can't I review the plan?
It's their plan, I guess. It's not really our plan at this
So why
point.
would you move forward when the owners of the road can't review their own property, see if it's correct?
So it is our plan now to distribute, if that's.
Once they vote, their
This is now an
intention.
open document, so anybody can review it or receive it.
Tom, last year, what type of plan did you guys look at when this was presented to you guys?
I don't believe we had a formal plan like this. It was,
Did you put any, like, special requirements on it at that point, based on the information you got?
I'd have to look at the meeting minutes, but
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, Deb, I thought we exempted the road from subdivision
Bylaw.
requirements, or guidelines, or whatever the right word is.
Right.
Right.
They waived the need for an upgrade according to our bylaws, because that is a part of our bylaws that's allowed by the planning board to not require upgrades.
Anything the planning board gets is automatically a public document. So you can certainly come to the planning board office and see all the plans. Unless it comes out, I mean, if it's on the table and you guys accept it, it's also a public
Right.
document tonight.
So she would get it.
And I don't wanna get too processy, I guess that's my job, but if the board votes not to intend to lay it out tonight, then this plan doesn't exist yet except for Streeter Road residents, so, it would be, giving it out before it's a thing is not something that we do.
Understood. It's also, you could zoom in on YouTube if you wanted to.
Sure.
Right,
Well,
so-
now it's available to anybody because it's been talked about publicly, so.
Right.
So I'll make a motion to accept the plan, from Streeter Road as presented and, start the process of road acceptance as laid out by Mass General Law, bylaws, and our attorney.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion?
I agree with that. I would just, in my opinion, to go forward, when it comes back to us, I would recommend that you go through the citizen petition rather than through us. That way there it's on the town rather than on our backs to put it on the warrant. Cause
Right.
there's two options,
Right.
correct?
Right, well, we can cross that bridge when we come to it.
Mhm.
You know, see how far they get along here and then, and readdress it then. What makes sense, and I guess what the will of the board is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any further discussion, Sharon?
So if you vote to move forward with this, I'll be able to look at the plan, the hard copy.
I would say so.
Yes. Whether you give it to her or not, or whether she does a records request, or yes, the answer's yes to that, so.
This is coming to us now, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you
You all,
have,
you all have it, you were sent it,
Right.
last Thursday.
I'm requesting to look at a hard copy, it's a lot easier to look at.
And the one we have is the updated one.
Correct.
Okay.
The one
Which
I
is
sent
this
you-
one?
The one I sent you on Thursday, correct, is this. Yep.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? Yes, Tom?
I heard that the steps move through and they somehow get through the planning board and then come back. And I heard reference to a process that was described by our lawyer, I guess? or
In
town
June
lawyer.
of last year, yeah.
Could I get a copy of that process steps? I wanna make sure we're,
So I'll send you the steps, the plan, and, answer any questions about the process.
also, last year, if I recall correctly, at the annual town meeting, this came up, and I thought there was an issue of money.
It was for paying for surveying and things like that.
What happened to that? Is there any impediment that,
So
that may not be in the process, but it sounded like it was kind of outside the process.
So the Streeter Road residents actually took this upon themselves to do the legal work and the survey on their own dollar. That was the discussion we had, who was gonna pay for it, how, where's the money gonna come from? But they ended up doing all this work themselves without outside town funds.
Well, that's great, but as we move forward, is there yet another tripwire where funds would be required?
I would imagine so, as it goes through legal and any changes to the survey.
What was the, last time during open session, was it Zoc that recommended doing another step? Like,
So last year, I think what Tom is referring to is the fact that when we came before you as a board, you originally had said the town was gonna pay, because it was gonna be under $20,000 and nobody thought that was really that big of a deal. And then, of course, when the warrant came out, there was no funding on the warrant.
Because we couldn't legally do that.
Probably
That was why.
Exactly. So I think that's why Tom is maybe just wondering like what happened with the funding and,
Yeah.
and is that, so we have paid, as you are aware, for the survey and are planning on paying for the legal fees as well. In terms of another step that we talked about at the last session, that I asked you to, now that you have formally, well, I guess you haven't really formally accepted this because you did a motion but nobody voted, so.
Right, we're still in
not,
discussion.
yeah, we're kind of not at that yet. So was that I asked, a recommendation from KP Law is that you could have a title certification that would be done on each piece of property. But it's merely a recommendation, it is not the law that has to be done. And one of the things that I said last time was the fact that anything that's in the north end of the road, those people's property is not part of the road. It was by this special law, Massachusetts law, where by default, each property owner owns to the middle of the road if, in fact, they don't have a deed that says they own the road. In some cases on the south end, there are definitely deeds that say who owns the road, but not at the north end. So any title search that happened up there would not even say anything about the road. So that would be another step. That would be a possibility that KP Law may recommend. And so I was asking if at some point we could at least not have that done, perhaps in some cases. And then,
Well, like
so
you
that's
said
probably what
before, I
you're-
think you'd hate to proceed with that if this wasn't gonna go anywhere, and I totally understand
yes,
that.
exactly.
But at some point, if this does get accepted, it probably will have to be done.
Mhm.
I would say, just so everything is done correctly,
So
you
we have
know,
a
but there's no point in dishing out the cash now
Right.
if it's just gonna get squashed. And I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion?
It's my intention to have our town council sort of give a estimate of what this would cost for your decision making in terms of, do they recommend a title search, what would that cost, all the different pieces, so you have a full picture of what it could be, cause the uncertainty of legal is something I wouldn't want you to make a decision on without knowing.
Okay.
So we'll get that first before we authorize town council to move forward. And of course, the planning board still has a role in this.
Yep.
So it could go or stop there, so I'm careful not to spend money before we need to spend money.
Okay, well, we've been supportive of the process, after figuring out what the process was.
Yep.
And that's you, Tom?
I think we're on the right track.
It was, I think, discussed, recommended or discussed that a petition be formed. Would that petition be the petition that gets it on the town warrant? Or would that be a petition that accepts this as a plan? Or what's the purpose of a
Be to
petition?
get it on the warrant.
The warrant.
I think
That's what,
Ryan
a
explained
10
it.
signature?
Yeah, Ryan explained it two ways, if I understood this right through the email. We, as a select board, could either vote to put it on the warrant, or they could do citizen petition to put it on a warrant. Two different ways.
That's a 10 signature petition?
10 signature petition.
Which, I mean, you guys wouldn't have a problem with that anyways.
It's effectively, removing the board's sponsorship from it, I guess is the way it,
Yes.
technically, way it would read on there. Instead of, recommended by board of selectmen, it would say citizen petition.
Does the board sponsor this?
I think, well, we still haven't voted, so it's,
Okay. I'll wait.
you know what I mean?
The only thing we're voting on tonight is the
Right.
intention to accept this plan.
Right.
That process would come no earlier than 45 plus 7 days from now.
Okay.
Because we still need to notify our butters and go through the process, as Sharon pointed out, there's still due process here that needs to be done. So this is just, let's start the process and take this plan in.
If I understand correctly, I don't think it has to be the 45 days plus 7 days. The planning board could choose to act sooner than 45 days, but they have up to 45 days.
Sure.
So if they acted sooner than that, then this process could,
Just giving them their maximum time.
right, exactly.
It would be helpful if they did act faster.
Good, Tom.
And I think I also heard you say that if the planning board doesn't act in 45 days, what happens?
It comes back as approved, or without change, or whatever
Back to
word
us.
you used.
So the Board of Selectmen may not lay out the public way until the planning board has made its report, or 45 days have elapsed since the referral without a report, whichever is earlier. So it's preventing you from pocket vetoing.
The default is approval, not disapproval.
It is, yes, it would come back with positive
I want to
recommendation.
understand that.
Further discussion? No? Goes for a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Unanimous.
We're inching
you.
closer.
Yeah, we're inching it, we're getting there, little by little, and I thank you. Fabulous.
Do we have anything that would make a
So
copy of this?
Did you have an electronic copy of that?
We do, she wants to see.
I sent it to each of you,
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, we have it.
Okay.
We can make a copy.
and I don't
You,
want it.
you can't make a copy of that.
Need a bigger printer,
Yeah.
bigger to staple.
Thank you.
Staples will do it.
Planning board gonna get that electronic
Yes.
copy?
Absolutely not, Tom, I'm just kidding.
I know.
I'll send it to you.
So I can.
Well, I get through channels, just soon.
Have you come in and see it, this is just the minutes.
Print it out.
And I'll let you have it now until. You sure? Give me a call, we'll figure it out.
Okay. So, also, next item on new business is to open the annual town meeting warrant. You wanna give us some details?
So this is a annual, requirement, we're saying the warrant is open for, boards, residents, anyone to submit, petitions to go on the town meeting warrant. So you're formally voting to open it tonight, and we'll advertise it heavy. Right now, your calendar closes it on, unless there's a change in vote, on April 1st. So it's 2 months to, a little under 2 months to receive potential warrant articles.
Okay. Someone wanna make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to open the annual town meeting warrant.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Can I ask
Sure.
a question? What makes April first the end point? Is that by board decision or statute or?
So that was a recommendation of the finance team to the board. A couple reasons, it gives about a month to review any warrant articles. The intention this year is to have anybody who submits a warrant article come and talk to the board, so the board understands the articles, vote to recommend or not recommend. And then also it takes time to print the warrant, et cetera, so we need to back plan from town meeting in order to hit those markers.
Is it a hard endpoint, like it's now settled, or is it something that if there's a couple days?
It's been opened in the past. And there is a hard endpoint at some point, I don't know the exact date, but when it has to be closed, it has to go to the printer, it has to, that kind of stuff. But until that point, we have been known in the past to open it for an unexpected
By
article.
board vote, to say.
Board vote, open it, and
this
then we close it.
paperwork isn't
Right, we
quite
open it,
ready.
we do this, and we close it.
We
Yep.
haven't scheduled this meeting until the second, and can we do it the third?
Yep.
Right.
An example of a hard time would be anything that requires a ballot vote. That by law, I don't know off the top of my head, but you need a certain amount of days for a ballot question to be placed on. Some warrant articles require a ballot.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't
Oh,
have
sorry,
a
Jimmy,
second on
did you
that.
raise your hand?
I just had an open town meeting.
I seconded
You
it.
didn't, okay.
You can't vote.
Yeah. I'll try. Scratched his nose. Okay, next item, housing production plan.
So this housing production plan, this item came from the planning board in their affordable housing committee arm. So this is a document that would go to the state. However, it's very lengthy and dense. So our intention tonight was to give it to you for review, for vote, discussion, or however you wanted to act on it at our next meeting. So this is a sort of a 2-week head start to review this document rather than try and cram it in one night.
Okay. And then I guess dovetailing into the Affordable Housing Committee status.
Yeah, so we did a lot of research on the Affordable Housing Committee, had meetings with members and others that had sort of been a part of the Affordable Housing Committee in the past. So what we found is sort of a convoluted history. So originally it started as a Affordable Housing Committee, ad hoc committee, one of either many or the same, came from the Zoning Board of Appeals. That one sort of morphed into or changed completely to an Affordable Housing Committee as it is now, which was under the auspices of the Planning Board, and was staffed primarily by the Planning Board with other members, CPC and ZBA, other officials that would help inform affordable housing, all for what I think is a very important and good purpose. So after meeting, we talked about this Affordable Housing Committee that we did appoint people to and was part of the July 1st appointments, and how it could best serve the town and what its composition should be, so we could be clear on how it would vote, how it would be staffed, etc. And the understanding that we came to was that it probably shouldn't be a standalone board unless the board wanted it for that function, and it shouldn't be fully staffed by one board, say the planning board, because of quorum problems, clarity, and sort of open meeting law. So since this is a planning board function, the planning board would take on affordable housing as one of its dictates, and we would dissolve the Affordable Housing Committee as a standalone ad hoc. It's sort of the update and the recommendation that we're making to you.
Sounds good to me. So, do we need a motion to dissolve the existing?
Disband all versions of the ad hoc Affordable Housing Committee.
I'll make that motion, just like you said it.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Unanimous?
Thank you.
Have a good night.
A lot of people did a lot of work researching that, and a lot of people were patient as I was discovering, so I really appreciate everyone who was involved in clarifying that. And now I think we can move forward with a housing production plan and a planning board that's focused on affordable housing in a very positive and strong way.
So, anyone who is involved in any of the many committees
Yes.
will be notified?
Yes.
Okay, old business, library roof update. So we have some bid results and some updates on those bid results.
So, as it stands right now, we've not awarded the bid, nor is that public. What we do have is the bid results, and that's in your document. It's sideways, you're gonna have to flip it counterclockwise.
If we scroll all the way down, it's there again. Not,
It's just printed, I think, instead of my handwriting.
I just lost.
So the,
you go all the way down, they rank them. Or in the order they were open.
it's public, right, the awarding with referrals,
You
right?
get it to be upright.
I don't know that process, Ryan.
So these are the bid results. Right now, we're looking at.
A public opening, so these are public bid
Yes.
results, public opening, yeah.
So the top two bid results were MDM Engineering Company at 186 and Titan Roofing at 297. So at a public meeting on Thursday night, the Library Board of Trustees voted to award the bid to Titan Roofing pending a
I got it now.
pending research on their references.
Ooh, can you tell us why?
Yes, so the bid documents submitted by MDM Engineering did not meet the bid package requirements.
How so?
There was forms missing that were necessary in part of the bid award. So Titan
It's a
Roofing,
huge difference.
which came with a very positive recommendation, is now the second highest bid, and in that process would be awarded unless there's a reason not to award, which we have not found.
So back to MDM, yeah, full disclosure, I do all sorts of public bidding, so, you have to provide a bid bond along with your bid that guarantees your bid, or that bid bond can be taken, and, most documents say that the town, may waive any and all informalities in a bid as an ultimate decision.
Yes.
So that's protestable by the next person that you then go to attorney generals and all that stuff, but what, I guess it's a lot, it's a big number, it's $111,000. What specifically do you know what was left out? I mean,
I do.
you do, okay.
And the Attorney General's office did agree that we cannot accept that bid.
Well, alright. Good enough?
And I did receive the report from tonight. I haven't reviewed it yet, but we would probably be ready to award this bid this week.
Okay, sorry, I can't get off it. So what wasn't included? Like signatures or, I mean,
Was this just clerical errors, or was it
It was not.
substantial?
It was substantial. Substantial enough for the Attorney General to believe that we cannot accept the bid. And the architect and my review of procurement law.
okay. Okay. but it wasn't like a multiplication issue.
No.
I just
Yeah.
settle in, everyone. No, I'm just kidding.
It will be public. We have to give the reason why we didn't award to the
Right.
lowest bidder, so we will make it public when we can.
Okay.
What was, voted, what was approved for this? I forget.
233, was it?
So 233,000. So 133,000 from a CPR article, $100,000 capital outlay vote from the town to override the 2.5%.
So that would be the 233, but then Ann kicked in 100.
Yes, yeah, I remember that.
So the state of Massachusetts gave us a $100,000 earmark in the FY19 budget. So we do have the money here to fund this project in hand.
Good.
How about the alternate bid there, from Titan Roofing, the minus 18,000? Is that something that we're gonna be optioning?
It was optioned by the library board of trustees, so we'll be taking, if all the paperwork is completed, the second highest bid with alternate,
Okay, so that's 279.
54,000.
Huh?
54,000 over. 56,000, sorry.
Do you know what the alternate bid, what is being excluded?
Yes, so the alternate bid in the bid package included an architectural piece on top of the roof, and it was the difference between surrounding that with slate or surrounding that with copper.
Okay.
It's a very unique piece and ornamental in nature, so some bids came in and cared about that and some didn't. And the board of trustees voted, because this was over, I believe, the cost, I don't wanna speak for them, but to accept the alternate and to move forward.
Okay. All right, so are we gonna?
You guys are happy on the,
Not as
Just-
happy as we could be, but,
but as
we're positive about it.
far as
Okay.
their design and what they're gonna give you and everything
Yeah,
else, you guys
it's
are.
a good contractor.
Titan's
I think we had
bid
serious
boards.
bids across the board, but one didn't qualify. So,
Happens all the time.
You've worked with Titan?
I have not worked with them directly, but I've seen their name around everywhere for a long time. Them and the Rockwell Roofing jump out at me here. Rockwell's out of Leominster, and they're the big firms too, so bids are pretty close to each other. The other ones, 351. Anyway, so what do you need
Right.
from us?
So make a,
Just giving you an update on this.
we need to make a motion to accept the bid, or no? Okay.
So the board would only act on a contract after the bid's awarded.
Okay.
But this is a very visible project. It's a very good and strong project for the town. It's gonna be an excellent ornamental slate design roof, and we just want to continue to update the public on its completion. We're hoping to have it done by the summer. So it'll be very good.
Okay. All right, so now we've got the hay lease. This is your first year dealing with the hay lease, I think.
This is my first year.
Yeah, absolutely. Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So in your packet, just today, we received a review of the draft that you had in your packet by council. Very minimal changes by them, basically language changes or simple legalese added. The Open Space Committee did a great job reviewing this. They're very happy with the package, the way it describes the process. For those who don't know, the hay lease, land we own in the Mount Jefferson Conservation Area is hayed for us, and for the right to hay it, they pay the town. This invitation to bid is for the rights to license that hay process for 5 years. So we'd be putting this out to bid for a little over a month to solicit farmers and qualified personnel to hay our land and pay us for the rights for 5 years.
Okay.
So we need a motion to accept the amended contract, correct?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept the
Sorry,
amended,
accepted bid package.
I'll make a motion to accept the amended bid package as
I'll
presented.
second that.
Any discussion?
Say that 5 times fast.
Just,
So just a quick question as I go through is it, because we have 7 bid items which are different fields,
Yes.
so X amount of acres here, X amount of acres there, is it stated somewhere that all of them must be awarded to one bid?
Yes.
It is, okay. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Kate?
I'm gonna text Brian. Brian Bullock, a good friend of mine, avoided the Haleys at all costs, so.
Okay, so back to your second favorite, third favorite, military leave.
So in your packets is a version of the policy as you approved at your last meeting. So this would formalize, this is the formal vote to accept this particular policy be input into Hubbardson personnel policies and guides, and further be added to union contracts pending their review of it.
Alright, so I'll make a motion to accept the updated and amended military leave policy as presented.
Second the motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Alright, Ryan, you're up. TA report?
Just gonna put it up on the screen. So, my report for you, our activities in the last couple of weeks. So the FY20 budget, I presented the staff, a draft of this to the staff last Wednesday. And I can state to you that right now I have a balanced budget, with the only caveat being that I do not have what I would consider a solid estimate from the Quabbin Regional School District, and will not until April 1st. So I will be making a recommendation based off past history. But other than that, we have a balanced budget that comes very close to our policy objectives, and I believe makes some strong recommendations for the budgets in town.
I think I know this, but what is the increase that you are assuming from last year for the school?
I'm not final with that yet.
Okay.
And if they're not gonna give their number, I'm not gonna give mine.
Sounds good.
Unless you make me, cause
Oh.
you're my boss.
Oh.
The recommended budget also has more than 6% in capital expenditure, just slightly more, which is something we just heard from the capital plan. I think you'll be happy with what we're able to fund there. And everyone's been really collaborative. I've been trying to meet with boards and departments to make sure they understand what I'll be presenting, so we can present to you our best picture. And of course, any increases that were changed or anything that came up, I'll be inviting the board to have those folks come and talk to you directly as part of the budget process, and the finance committee in March.
Okay.
So that will be presented to you on February 19th at our next meeting, Tuesday after President's Day. Second part we talked about in length, was walking a line there between being transparent and talking about a procurement process while still finalizing. I do believe we'll have a final outcome. And because the library board of trustees vote, I felt comfortable sharing as much as I did of what they did, because that was a public meeting.
Okay.
Green Communities Grant, we've submitted for criterion 1 and 2 for state approval, and we believe we'll get it. There are 4 more criterion to hit, to include a recommendation on building code, etc., that will probably come as part of this warrant process. So just giving you a heads up on that. Green Communities, we're also working with the schools, and they agreed to include the schools in our Green Community Energy Assessment.
School, right?
Schools.
Oh, so even outside the town's borders?
Andrew Golis and I approached the schools, he's the Barry Town Administrator, to include the middle school and the high school in our Green Communities usage, so we can take advantage of capital projects there as well. We wouldn't have enough in our town to fund projects for many years if this grant keeps going, but the schools give us even a greater width to get grant monies from. So they were, superintendent agreed to add the district as part of that. We're hoping to get the other 3 towns to do it as well. Fire union negotiations, those are complete. Our executive session tonight will review the first draft of the negotiations, and hopefully have a public vote on that for the next meeting, and make that part of the FY20 budget process in its beginning, which I think is advantageous. Infrastructure, your chairman, Travis, and I met with TEC Friday. We discussed a ton of infrastructure projects. Route 68 North reconstruction is going very well. It looks like it's going to hit all of its time marks. We discussed the town center project and its next steps, 3 bridge projects, local paving projects, and complete streets efforts. So we're really trying to engage our engineers to make sure we're taking advantage of every grant and every opportunity, and that these are moving along on time. Next big one for us on February 20th, we'll be presenting to the MPO to advocate for our town center project. We're bringing as many people as possible. I'd love for the board to send a representative with us to show the MPO that that's a town-changing infrastructure project, and we'd like to be considered as soon as possible.
So I'll be away. I can't go to that. Alicia Muck, who's very active member on the town center committee, did commit. She's gonna go, but if a board member could go, that'd be great too.
During the day or at night?
It's during the day.
Yeah, I won't be here on the week of the 20th.
Is that during school vacation?
It is.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
Are you gone?
Hmm?
Are you gone?
No, but
No.
Gordon's home, so I mean, I just
Right.
can't be,
Be a great opportunity for Gordon to learn about regional government.
what's the date?
It's the 20th of
No, I
February.
mean, what is that, what day is?
Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday?
I just said that too fast. I don't know. It's Tuesday.
Let me see. Hold on.
19th is Tuesday. It's Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
Can I get back to you on that? I'll have to check.
Yeah, it's not a. It's just we believe bringing as many people as possible will show just how important this is for our town.
Because we're competing. So we're there with 3 other projects from municipalities and other engineers. Our engineer will be with us on this one, so we're really there with our engineers and support to advocate for ultimate funding for the project.
Is this in Boston?
No,
No.
it's in Leominster.
Oh, in Leominster.
It's about 25 minutes.
Maybe
I'll
10.
see if- I'll see if I can do-
Jeff drive.
I'll see if I can do it.
Okay.
The only question is, I can't just leave him
I understand.
by himself
We can babysit.
the whole day, cause his mother's working, so.
Yeah, I don't think we can legally commit to that. The for employee recognition. So continuing infrastructure projects. We know how important those state and federal dollars are based off the capital plan you received. Most of our monies come from state and federal government, so we're continuing to push those projects along. Employee recognition, just wanted to recognize our assessing, this is a little bit of a news, assessing assistant Jenny Daniels. She's gonna be leaving the town to serve as a full-time personal property specialist for RRG. During her time here, Jenny demonstrated tremendous range. She organized our finance team meetings. She served as the assistant collector for a while. She filled in as a finance clerk, and of course, provided excellent customer service and professionalism in the assessing office. She is moving her career forward in the assessing field, so we're very happy for her. It's going to be tough to fill that position, but we do have a plan for a temporary 3-month appointment with Bobby, who we already appointed till April 1st, and then we'll start hiring in May or June as part of the next fiscal year.
Okay.
And then topics, next presentation to you will be the budget. I am meeting with our architect to discuss the municipal building project on Friday. They are likely ready to give a presentation to you on February 19th. They could do it also on February 26th or March 4th. The problem with March 4th is I'm on military duty. I don't need to be here, but you might want me here. If that's the case, I'm recommending that you change the March 4th meeting to February 26th, and we would lock that in as the only agenda item for the 26th for this building presentation. I think it's an important discussion topic and will probably warrant its own time.
Can you email us that request so we can all check our schedules and get back to you on that?
Yeah. We can push it out further as well. I'm just concerned that a decision of that magnitude, which may or may not go to town meeting, needs as much time as possible to discuss.
Okay.
And just to remind folks, the 3 recommendations I'll be presenting to you are, or 4 really, a combined town hall, senior center, and public safety building, a combined public safety building and town hall, or a public safety building. Its costs, pros and cons of each, and then the 4th recommendation would be to do nothing. And then we're continuing to talk about community benchmarking with the planning board and the finance committee. Travis and I are working to update our road maintenance plan and would like to schedule soon a hearing to talk about roads, especially as the snow starts to melt, and we're continuing to update our human resource policies.
Can I go back and just from information from me on the 20th, Ryan, for that project advocacy, what's the time on that? Do you know?
I want to say 1, but let me make sure.
So it's not an all-day thing?
No, it's about 15 minutes of presentation. We just don't know what number we are.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it could be as much as an hour. It's at 1 p.m.
1 p.m., right. I'll get back to you
I
on
can
that.
ask him to go first, but I don't know if that helps us.
No, that's okay.
Maybe you can bring Gordon, he can buy you lunch at noon.
Yeah.
That is my report.
Where we at?
Appointments.
Appointments.
Okay.
So I have appointments. These are appointments that were, they weren't, I didn't hear back from them, so I have heard from them since then. So they were on the boards before. It's just basically another appointment and for Donnie Berthium wants to remain on the Memorial Day Committee, and then Ernie Newcomb wants to remain on the Historical Commission.
I'll make a motion to appoint Donnie Berthium to Memorial Day Committee.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes?
And I'll make a motion to appoint Ernest Newcomb to Historical Commission.
I'll make a second on that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Just a quick point on appointments. We do have a fifth and final member of the Finance Committee that's
Oh.
volunteered.
Nice.
We're gonna send the names to the Finance Committee to recommend to you first. I think they're meeting next week, so we should have a full Finance Committee, barring any disapproval of the recommendations by the next meeting, which is
Good.
exciting.
Yeah, been a while. Committee updates, so the QEMP task force, there is no, nothing to, report. As far as what's going on in New Braintree, I don't actually know, so, I tried to sort of look into it today and couldn't find out what had been done on it. I don't know if you know.
When we met with the superintendent, it's just, there's no update on their end either.
Okay.
Except that they're trying to figure it all out.
Okay, and then the town center committee, we are going to meet on, we actually moved it from February 21st to February 28th, which Joyce updated it today, and I put an agenda on there. We are going to be just having a update meeting. We'll get a status update from TEC. We'll have some recon from the MPO meeting at that time, and then we're also going to discuss, I guess, the playground has been approved in the capital improvement plan to be included in like 2022 or something like that.
It's earmarked.
Earmarked. Well done. So that's where we already built one playground, right? Jesse and spearheaded that, Jesse Twarog, a couple years ago here. So a member of the TCC has reached out to her to sort of pick her brain about how that process went. It was a community build, different grant sources and all that, so we're going to invite her in as well to sort of go over potential process there. So we'll see. Okay, so we have some minutes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the November 26th meeting.
Okay,
Second that.
Michael.
Mike was the only one not in there, right?
okay, right. Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes?
So I
Abstain.
Go ahead. You're gonna make the motion? Oh, abstain, I'm sorry, I
Abstain.
thought you were about to make the motion. And I move to accept the minutes of the December 10th, 2018.
I'll second that.
We were all here?
Yep.
Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Matters not reasonably anticipated by the chair, I don't have any.
I have a question.
Okay.
All of this,
Streeter?
yeah, well, not the street and now, it has to do with the Begleys, the culvert and everything else.
Oh, yeah, the other stuff.
That was sent to us, I looked over everything and the history of it goes back to like 2011, and I'm just curious if I'm missing something, why hasn't it been dealt with by the town? Well, is there something legal that says we
It's
can't
not
do
a
it?
private road, so why?
It's not town land.
It's a private road.
Because she's also expecting us to keep repairing her driveway, every time this happens, so I mean.
But it's,
But guess what, if it was a town road,
yeah, then we
then we'll
own it.
repair it,
Mm.
but it's not town road.
So right now, we're legally okay. What happens if and when we take it?
It's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, it's gonna keep coming back and biting us.
Unless the road is improved.
Which,
I mean,
That's the only
it's
way.
a long,
Well, that's why I was asking, 'cause I just felt it's,
Well, I think that most of the culverts, this is what she does, right, for a
Yeah.
living.
Yeah.
She said it's all just blocked up with beaver stuff and everything else, probably just needs, somebody just needs to clean it out.
but that picture of her driveway, the damage that's been done, and it goes back to 2011, that's been happening,
But as long as the culvert's cleaned out, then we don't, the driveway shouldn't be an issue.
yeah.
And we're not responsible for the driveway, this is a private road. so, currently.
I told Sharon that I would do everything I could to help her, but this is not town land, nor would I recommend that we get involved in a private dispute.
Appreciate bringing me up on that.
Anything else, anybody? No? Okay, so we are public press question and answer. Al, anything?
Nothing today, thank you.
Okay.
Chance?
Executive session, huh?
Yep.
So I'll make a motion, to go into executive session for, reason number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation of an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of a public body if the chair so declares.
I declare.
This is for the fire union. Second, executive session will be for reason number 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiation of non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining session or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. This is for non-union personnel wage plan, if the chair so declares.
I declare.
With no intent to return to public session after adjournment from
Second
executive
the
session.
motion.
Okay, Mike?
Yes,
Yes.
Oh, wait, discussion? Mike?
yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Dan, yes.
Yes.
Okay. We are in executive session.